Stand By Me from 1986. It's a classic movie about kids in the 50s going off and trying to find a dead body that they heard about, so that they can be the ones that discover it and they can go on the news. That's the plot of it, and it's a good, like, sort of just character-driven movie. And they go through these interesting scenarios when they're going on their trek. I really enjoyed this. I get why it's a classic. I really like this movie. Let's look at the Rotten Tomatoes page, shall we? It gets 92%, which is, pretty good, of course, and then 94% audience score. And let's click on it and see the average rating. So an average 8 out of 10, so it would go down a bit, but that's fair for Rotten Tomatoes. And then it would go down to 4.4 out of 5 for audience score, so it'll go down to 88% Bill. But still very good ratings all around. Critics' consensus. Stand By Me is a wise, nostalgic movie with a weird streak that captures both Stephen King's voice and the trials of growing up. Yeah, this is something that I was surprised that Stephen King did, because I usually associated him with horror. And this isn't really horror, although dead body is involved. I still wouldn't consider it to be a horror movie. Let's read some of the reviews. The boys' petty bickering and self-revelations unfold convincingly, and with great humor, bottling that uncertain moment in life between childhood and adolescence. Yeah, it's a good, shot of life, of, that age of, being 12 years old. And in the 50s, although I wouldn't know what that's like in the 50s, but still, I think it's still relatable for most folks that were young, Stand By Me is a film of honorable ambitions, severely compromised by a creeping showbiz phoniness. Well, I guess I kind of see what they mean, especially since this movie made me think of a couple other movies. Number one, Christmas Story, because of that narration. And then number two, The Sandlot, also because of that sort of narration. And it's about kids. And set in, the 50s. I think all those movies are. Christmas Story might be set in the 40s, but, long time ago. That's the point. In a similar era. But let's read some more good reviews. Stand By Me is a coming-of-age tale with moments of vulnerability that make it somewhat relatable while still keeping it unusual. Rob Reiner should have gotten at least, one cool mention in a Beastie Boys song for this hot streak. That's a funny review. I like that. You should have been mentioned in a Beastie Boys song. That's how good this movie was. Stand By Me is a film of honorable ambition, severely compromised. I already read this. Reiner seems lost in his own cinematic wilderness, buttoned down, careful, almost afraid to move. So he thinks that he's, attached to one way of making movies, but I don't know, I think that it works. A timeless coming-of-age drama. Pretty much everyone likes this. Rob Reiner's direction hammers in every obvious element in an obvious script. So that's another bad review, obviously. A lot of folks go into this movie in a big way, but I have a hard time seeing past the cloying comedy and cliched white guy sentimentality. I mean, I guess, but it's definitely something that exists, and I think they do a good job of displaying all of that, and the way the characters exist, and the way that they talk and stuff. I think that's all actually pretty natural. Boom. Whoa, I'm missing some stuff. Whoa. The Earl of Sandwich invented the ice cream cone. It is indeed a Hamburg steak, usually covered in gravy. Oh, yeah, what do we call those now? The Salisbury steak, when it's like a hamburger, basically. My guy, the Chinese, invented the ice cream cone. What? I thought they invented Chinese food. The English invented apple pie. The review had to bring race into it. Yeah, apparently they did. They were like, "Oh, it's so white. This movie's so fucking white." And it was a white guy reviewing it too. It looked like they had a picture of him. So I don't know, but yeah, sometimes bad reviews on Rotten Tomatoes are funny, especially when it's like the one bad review in a sea of good reviews. I feel like sometimes people are just being contrarians for the sake of it. Let us. I think that's enough looking at the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's go to the IMDb page. So the popularity is going down for this a little bit, but not that much. 8.1 out of 10 is what it's got, which is pretty good. Let's see. River Phoenix. Corey Feldman. Yeah, River Phoenix, he's in stuff, but I can't think of what else. But he's definitely had a career of sorts. Stand By Me. My Own Private Idaho, I haven't seen that. The Mosquito Coast and Running on Empty. So a bunch of things I've never seen he's known for, so that makes sense that I don't really know him. Let's see here. Corey Feldman, of course. He's now like doing music in a band and it's kind of cringy, but at least he's having fun. He's in so many 80s movies. He's a good actor. Let's see. Is there anyone else? Kiefer Sutherland, of course, plays Ace. He's sort of the antagonist of the teenagers who are also trying to find the body. Let's see if there's... Oh, and John Cusack plays Denny, who is the main character's dead brother, who Gordy LeChance's brother, but they show flashback scenes of John Cusack. Yeah, and those scenes are just like to show, look how good his brother is, look how fucking great he is. Oh yeah, Richard Dreyfuss, I didn't even recognize him in this, because he looks so much different when he's old, and he was young in this, obviously, so I don't think I even recognized him. Oh, he's just at the end of the movie. Oh, so he plays grown-up Gordy. I get that, at the end of the movie. That's who that is. Okay. Richard Dreyfuss. Let's look at the box office information. I'm sure this movie did well. It's a huge pop culture iconic film. It's been parodied a bunch. Budget $8 million. Gross worldwide $52 million. Pretty good. So we can get into the notes here. I guess I better get to work, Douglas. Movies will grand it tonight. Okay, have fun, Dad. See ya. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you. Let's keep on going here with the notes, though, for this movie. Ooh, we don't really... We're like kind of ahead of the game here, aren't we? I think that's okay. Let's see. Stand By Me notes. So the good soundtrack. Obviously the song Stand By Me is in this movie, but not until the credits. I think it's a good end credit song, though. I think that was a good choice. Then you have like all these classic 50s bops, which adds to the movie. You got Lollipop, Lollipop, ooh, Lollipop. You got Rockin' Robin, Twiddly-diddly-dee, Twiddly-dee-dee. All these great old 50 songs. It adds to the atmosphere of the movie. It's great. Everything is boss, and I like that. I didn't realize it was a 50s term. People saying boss as in good. That's so boss. That's so good. I just kind of enjoyed that. John Cusack, question mark I have in this, and if we've just found out that yes, it is in fact him. They didn't think about the food, so this isn't like a negative note against it. It's just something that happens in the movie. They planned this big trip, and then they realized that they didn't bring any fucking food, so they gotta go buy like a food with the little bit of change they have. They have like over $2, but this is the 50s, so like $2 is like fucking $20 or whatever now, or whatever, maybe even more now. Who knows? It's like I feel like $2 in the 50s in the 50s is like fucking $50 now. But who knows? I don't know. That's for sure. I'm just sort of guessing. But yeah, they didn't think about food, and it makes sense. Like it's something that kids would maybe not talk about and then forget. One of the major details of the trip, so it's believable. But I just in that moment I was just like, no, not the food, because I feel like I would have thought about that if I was on the trip, because I fucking love food, and like you gotta be aware of that. You need to know where you're getting your meals from. But, it's believable enough, it's fine. Moving on. I don't understand the mailbox baseball rules. So there's a point where Ace, Kiefer Sutherland, and all these other guys are, hitting mailboxes with baseball bats. It's called mailbox baseball. And they seem to have rules to it, but I don't understand the rules. Because he, hits one, and then he's like, you missed, and I really don't get the rules. This movie's weird in that, it's not that weird, but that part was weird. Vern isn't fat, but I guess by 50 standards. So Vern calls himself the fat kid. They don't call him the fat kid. He's like, oh yeah, pick on the fat kid. I guess he's the one who weighs the most, probably. He's the fattest one. But he's not what I would call fat. But I guess it was the 50s, right? So maybe by 50 standards he was, or it's set in the 50s. It's made in the 80s. But still, by 50 standards, maybe he was fat. Fuck writing. Writing is stupid. I like this line. It was funny. Because the cool kid and Gordy, the cool, bad boy kid, he's trying to convince Gordy to be a writer. And Gordy's like, fuck writing, stupid, fuck writing. I just thought it was kind of funny, the way he delivered that line. It made me laugh. Not the comb. So Vern, he brings a comb because he's like, when we find the dead body, they're going to take our picture and put it in the paper or on the news or whatever. So we should comb our hair. And he's all excited about bringing a fucking comb. But then the comb falls through the bridge. I was sad for him because he was so excited about that comb. And then the comb falls through the train bridge. But my next note is the train scene is exciting as fuck. But I do have a negative note on it, but it was exhilarating watching this scene, I'm not gonna lie. With them trying to get out of the way just in time as the train's coming. That part is fucking scary. They should have walked faster on the bridge. So, this is the point that I'm talking about, is that they're on the train bridge and they see that there's a point, if they're in the middle of this bridge and the train's coming, then they could die. They could get forced off and they could die or something. So what I would do right away is I would start hustling, try to get on the other side as quick as possible. But they're dogging it. They're fucking going slow right off the bat. And it does not pay off because, of course, the train comes and they have to end up really rushing and running at the end. So if anything like that is risky, right away I would be thinking, okay, let's try to get through here quick then, right off the bat. Well, there's no train. Let's run and make sure we're safe. But they don't do that. My next note is, it's boss. Sorry, I have this note twice, I guess. Everything is boss. It's boss. I like that term for stuff being good, saying it's boss. Young Farva. So, I don't think it is, but it really looks like him. The guy who plays Farva on Super Troopers and all those Broken Lizard movies. He's in a lot of those movies. But, yeah, they have this scene with the kid that looks like a young version of him, and I thought maybe it was him, but I don't have any proof to support that, so moving on. What's the pie contest criteria? So, this part, and this is kind of a fun part, because Gordy, they're building him up, his character, he likes to write stories, so he's going to be a writer, and of course, that character is supposed to sort of be like Stephen King, right? And then at the end of the movie, we found out that he is a writer. He's writing this book about these things that happened. But he at the one point in the movie when they're all camped out, the kids, they want a story, so they tell Gordy to tell him a story. So he tells a story about a pie eating contest. And they show the pie eating contest. They show the story, which I actually like. That it's not just him telling the story. You get to see the visuals too. But yeah, just what I would have done differently about this scene is the way that they show the pie eating contest, because they have them eating these pies face down, eating the pie, but then they leave so much of the fucking pie not eaten. What is the criteria? Do you only have to eat a little bit of it? Because that bugged me a little bit. I was like, they should have to eat the whole fucking thing. They're just eating the center. you don't have to eat the sides and shit. That's fucking cheating. Anyway, maybe I'm getting too worked up about the pie eating contest, but still. Moving on. Wrong kid died, so that's a joke in the movie Walk Hard with John C. Reilly. But this made me think of that, because this is kind of like that cliche of the two kids existing and then the one dying, and the parents being like, oh, I wish that the other kid wasn't dead. And you know, there's a dream sequence where Gordy is dreaming, and he's like imagining his dad saying basically, wrong kid died. Basically, like, it should have been you instead of him. So that made me think of Wrong Kid Died in the movie Walk Hard. Yeah, no, I agree. What the fuck? Eat the whole pie, not just the filling. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't like that. Have you seen this movie, D. Jesus? Because yeah, that was something I definitely thought about in this. Alright, step at me notes. What else we got? Leeches. I'm just worked up about good contests. Yeah, you should be. You should be. You know, I would like to try like a hot dog eating contest. I'd be curious to see of how well I could do if I get really hungry or something for it. I feel like I could eat it and then smoke a lot of weed maybe. I feel like that would help. And then I feel like I could eat a lot of hot dogs maybe. But anyway, we're getting off topic. Leeches. There's a part with leeches that's pretty freaky. And there's like a leech on Gordy's dick, and he like pulls it off, and there's like blood, and that part's kind of scary too. So I fucking cried at the end of this movie. It's when they're doing the explanations of like what happened to everybody, and they explain that I think it's Chris, the character that is sort of like the bad boy, like the leader of the group. Let's just real quick see. Yeah, that was River Phoenix. So his character, we find out that he went against what he believed at the time, because he was like, oh, I'll never amount to anything, I'm just going to take shop classes. But he ends up going to college with Gordy, and he ends up being like an outstanding civilian or whatever, because he dies by doing something noble, and he gets stabbed by like sticking up for someone who's getting robbed or something, and then he gets stabbed, and they don't even show it, but I cried just at the description of it, because it was sad. You know, you don't want him to die, you want him to succeed, especially after hearing that he did succeed, that he became a lawyer and he went to college doing things that he didn't think he could originally, which is sort of inspiring, but then it's sad. But you know, sometimes things like that happen, so I think that it's a good ending, but it's sad. Did he save the novel? So at the end of the movie, they show who's supposed to be Stephen King writing the novel on a computer, and he's supposed to be Stephen King, but it's Richard Dreyfuss or whatever, and he's writing on the computer, and then he leaves to go play with his kids. But they don't show him saving it, and he just turns off the fucking thing. So that's what I wonder. I don't know how those old things work, but I feel like you should be able to save, or you'd be able to save or something. So I don't know. That's maybe a minor note, but still, that's what I felt watching that. Stephen King surprised me. Yeah, I was surprised to see that he wrote this, because it's not horror, but it does make sense, kind of, with the dead body stuff anyway, and also it being about a writer. Did Kiefer Sutherland get them back? So at the end of the movie, there's actually a scene that I quite like, where there's a sort of standoff between the young kids and the big kids, and they've all found the body at this point, but the young kids have a gun, so they get them the fuck off with the gun. But then Kiefer Sutherland's like, I'll get you for this. But we don't know. They never explain if he does get him for that. So maybe they didn't. But I would have liked that to be explained. Anyway, that was my last note on the movie. I would have to eat shitloads of food in advance, basically work my way up to do that. My appetite is very small at the moment. Yeah, that's fair. I get that. Yeah, you'd have to train for it, for sure. I get that. I mean, I'm not even like the biggest eater, but I feel like there's times when I can fucking just put it away. If it was a hot dog eating contest at like 6 p.m. or like 4 p.m. or something, give me like the whole day to like not eat anything and then like smoke a ton of weed right before. I feel like I could put them away. Anyway, one meal a day and a few snacks, sometimes not even a snack. I mean, do what feels right. Like, as long as you're doing okay, then I think that's all right. Oh yeah, I already read all my notes. I don't know what I'm doing. So let's finish up the review here. So Stand By Me, it's a classic, and it's a classic for a reason. It's very well put together. I like when they do the flashbacks, it works. The story's compelling. That train scene alone is worth the price of admission. And it's pretty funny with like the comedy. It's very relatable. The way the kids are acting it's very believable. Yeah, believable and relatable. So let's give it I'm giving it an 8.8. It's good. It's not my absolute favorite movie, of course. That's Pootie Tang, but this was good. It's solid. You can see why it's a classic. Stand By Me, 8.8 out of 10 ducks.